You don't blow your account in a single day. It just bleeds, little by little, through every wrong breakout, every trade taken because you couldn't stand the silence. The more you study, the more you try, the more confused the chart becomes, because you're looking at price, not at what stands behind it. And this is where you have to face an uncomfortable truth. The market isn't defeating you, your reactions are. Have you ever noticed that every time you open a chart, pause your eyes on a single candle, on a price impulse pushing upward, you are unknowingly stepping onto a battlefield, a place with no gunfire, yet where countless people fall every single day. A candle piercing below a low might be nothing more than coincidence, or it might be the signal of a script that has been carefully arranged days in advance. What is even more frightening is that most traders are completely unaware that they are playing the role of prey in a hunt led by large capital. A chart is not merely a tool, it is the imprint of loss, of psychology, of dominance. Ordinary people only see green and red candles. Professional money hunters see shifts of power, emotional traps, blades already sharpened and waiting to strike. They do not ask where the market will go, they ask who is controlling this game. This is part 2 of the series, The Journey to Becoming a Professional Trader. And today, we step into a topic not meant for those who trade with emotion: how to look at a chart like a financial assassin. No vague hope remains, no reliance on luck, only traces, logic, and the final decisive move. When we first enter trading, most of us see the chart as a random board of fluctuating prices, some zigzags, candles moving up and down, accompanied by a few indicators flashing green and red. And we believe that if we learn enough patterns, master enough indicators, and train long enough, we will eventually understand the market. But no, it is not that simple, because a chart is not just data, it is a battleground, where the weak are eliminated and the strong survive to keep playing. Retail traders like us often look at the chart as someone lost in a maze, seeing rising candles and assuming price will continue higher, spotting a breakout and jumping in out of fear of missing out. But do you know that at the very moment you feel excited about that breakout, someone has already prepared a reversal strike, timed exactly to when you press the buy button? And that someone is not the market, but those who understand your psychology perfectly, who know how you react when price rises, know where you place your stop loss, and strike precisely at that weakness. This is not randomness, it is a programmed game, and the chart is where the plans of those in control are revealed. There is a bitter truth: the winner is not the one with the most brilliant analysis, but the one who understands that the chart doesn't give you information, it leaves traces. Traces of large capital, traces of manipulation, traces of a game in which if you are not alert enough, you are the one being hunted without ever realizing it. You can continue trading based on your emotions, or you can begin to learn how to observe the chart like an assassin, someone who is not swept away by fleeting feelings, but acts only when the real traces appear. I once knew a man. He entered the market with the same dream as so many others, to make a few $100s a day, then a few thousand a month. He learned very fast, entered trades very fast, and blew his account just as fast. 3 times in a row, 3 accounts were wiped out, and after each one, he grew angrier, studied harder, tried every kind of strategy, from scalping to swing trading, from RSI to Bollinger Bands. Then one day, he stopped placing trades altogether. He just sat in front of the chart. No drawing, no measuring, no analysis of anything. He simply watched. He watched the market rise while the majority wanted to sell. He watched price plunge when every signal was screaming buy. He watched a strong bullish candle get immediately negated by a sharp bearish candle that drove straight down right after it. And from that point, he began to realize one thing: a chart does not need to be predicted, it only needs to be read. Not patterns, but behavior. Not indicators, but psychology. Not surface movement, but the hidden force behind every push. Price jumps not because of good news, but because large capital has finished accumulating and starts pushing price up in order to distribute gradually. Price drops violently, not because people are panicking, but because smart money is quietly accumulating while the crowd is fleeing. From that moment on, he no longer traded every day. He only entered when a scenario became clear enough. He only reacted when the market revealed its own traces. When others grew excited, he stayed silent. When the market turned chaotic, that was when he acted. And for the first time, he experienced the longest winning streak of his entire trading journey. Not because the system was better, but because the perspective had changed. A chart is not a place to predict the future. It is a record of what money has done and is still doing. And if you were alert enough, you will begin to see them, to see where they leave their traces. Sudden spikes in volume, price shooting up and then pulling back sharply. Price zones tested again and again. All of it is language, the language of money. A language that only financial assassins with enough patience can learn. You do not need to know everything. You only need to distinguish what is real from what is merely the crowd's illusion. When you are quiet enough, patient enough, the market will begin to speak to you, not in words, but in traces. And the clearest form of traces that large capital leaves behind is volume. Volume is not just an indicator, it is physical evidence of every price movement. When price rises but volume remains low, that is not genuine enthusiasm. When price falls while volume spikes abnormally high, it might be a false sell-off designed to trap short positions. When volume suddenly spikes in a price area few people pay attention to, you should pause and ask yourself, who is acting and what are they trying to hide? Smart money, large capital, never tells you what it is doing, but it always, unintentionally, leaves traces. Traces that lie where the crowd usually looks away. Small jolts followed by stillness. Price zones tested many times without being broken. Sessions with extremely high volume but almost no price movement. Those are the moments when they are building positions or distributing them in absolute silence.
An ordinary trader sees a breakout and enters immediately. A financial assassin sees a breakout and pauses to observe. They wait to see whether volume confirms it. Is there a pullback that drags price back to retest the broken level? Did anyone get trapped during that breakout? If those signs are absent, they do not enter. They do not guess. They do not rush. Because they understand that volume is a mirror reflecting true intent. A strong candle says nothing by itself. A beautiful-looking pattern decides nothing on its own. What matters is what stands behind that candle. Why did buying pressure appear? Why was there a fake push followed by an immediate rejection? Who benefits if price breaks this level and then reverses? When you ask the right questions, you begin to see the flow of money. And once you see the money flow, you are no longer the prey. You do not need to win every trade. You only need to stand on the same side as the one controlling the battle. And to do that, you must learn to read volume as if you were tracing evidence at a crime scene. Simply put, if you want to read the chart like an assassin, do not look at price. Look at the traces of action. Do not worry about where the market will go. Ask yourself who is controlling it. And do not try to analyze everything. Just recognize where the blood is. Now, imagine this. In front of you is a chart. The market is moving sideways. Price oscillates within a narrow range with no clear trend. 3 days pass, no news, no notable signals, a strange silence. For most traders, this is an uncomfortable phase, vague, unclear, with no obvious entry. But for a financial assassin, this is the most attractive zone, because the quieter the price area, the more room the strong players have to act in the dark. On the first day, the market drifts aimlessly, volume low. Nothing stands out, but that is the beginning of a script. On the second day, volume starts to creep up, not aggressively, but enough to raise suspicion. Price is still contained within the old range, yet the first signs appear. A few candles develop longer wicks. The push is no longer as smooth as before. By the third day, the market suddenly breaks out of the range. A strong green candle appears. Many traders shout "breakout" and rush in to buy. Excitement spreads quickly, as if a big opportunity has just opened. But only a short time later, price reverses sharply. A red candle engulfs the entire previous surge. Volume explodes. Buy orders are wiped out. The crowd calls it a false breakout. The financial assassin calls it a complete trap. They were not pulled into that breakout. They did not react to that green candle. They simply stand and observe. And they understand that if the breakout was false, the market will return to a pullback point where the Achilles heel is exposed. A gentle pullback, volume gradually weakening, selling pressure no longer as aggressive as before. A small candle appears with a long lower wick. That is when they enter. No prediction, only reaction. Once the traces are clear enough, a tight stop loss, a reasonable take profit, no greed, no expectations, just adherence to the plan. That is how an assassin looks at the chart, not focusing on individual candles, but on the entire script, not relying on indicators, but observing the hidden behavior behind every price push. A chart, when seen the right way, is no longer a place to search for signals, but a place to follow the footprints of the strong. The lesson here is simple. When price becomes quiet, start to doubt. When volume increases but price fails to go very far, ask yourself why. When the crowd rushes in, step aside and observe more carefully. You do not need to catch every opportunity. You only need to appear at the right moment, when the script is clear enough and you are the one who recognizes it before everything unfolds. In the next part, I will go deeper with you into something even more important than any technical tool, the psychology of a financial assassin, how they remain calm, refuse to trade on emotion, and wait for the precise moment to strike like a final blow. You may have a good strategy, you may understand market structure, know how to read volume, recognize traps, but if your psychology is not strong enough, you will still lose. I have seen many people with solid trading systems, high win rates, and strict risk management, yet the moment the market moves slightly against them, they panic. When they're in profit, they exit too early out of fear of losing it. When they're in loss, they cling to hope because they're afraid to cut. That is not a technical problem. That is a psychological problem. A financial assassin does not act on hope. They act on probability. They do not enter because they think price might rise. They enter only when the traces are clear, the plan is clear, and the risk is clear. And once in the trade, they fully accept every possible outcome. Win, good. Loss, accepted. No panic, no regret, no revenge trading in the next order. The greatest difference between an emotion-driven trader and a financial assassin does not lie in pips or in candlestick patterns, but in the ability to control emotions in the face of what cannot be controlled. No one knows for certain where the market will go, but how you respond is entirely within your control. An assassin does not need to win every trade. They understand that as long as they keep a clear mind and maintain discipline through each session, they will survive long enough to benefit from probability. You will never see them complain when the market moves against them.
You will never see them get excited over making a few dozen pips. You only see someone quietly watching the chart, as if listening to a familiar old piece of music. Because to them, trading is not a game of emotion. It is a hunt, where only those who can remain calm survive. So how do you train a mindset like a financial assassin? Start with very simple things. Trade less, but be more selective. Set a clear stop loss and never move it. Do not trade when you are angry, sleepy, or impatient. Only enter when your mind is clear, like someone preparing to step into a real battlefield. It is not the system that makes you rich. It is not the strategy that keeps you alive. It is psychology, discipline, and the ability to refrain from acting when the time has not yet come. An assassin doesn't act randomly, and they do not pray before every trade. They enter the market like a special forces soldier entering hostile territory, with a plan, with a script, with limits, with objectives.
And here are 4 steps that any trader can practice to turn chart reading into a process with high impact and low risk. Step 1. Read volume first, not price. Volume is the true bloodstream of the market. Price can be manipulated, but volume does not know how to lie. Always ask yourself, does volume confirm this movement? If price rises but volume is low, it is a fake move. If price falls while volume explodes, it is not necessarily panic. It may be large players quietly accumulating. Read volume first. Do not let it become something you check last. Step 2. Identify trap zones. Do not fall in love with breakouts. Most trading failures come from believing in breakouts. The market knows this, and smart money understands it even better. So focus on trap zones, where price breaks a level and then reverses hard, where many people rush in with the trend and get stuck, where price is tested again and again but cannot break through. These are the gold mines of the financial assassin, where the market reveals its true intent. Step 3. Wait for washout or exhaustion. Do not rush, do not anticipate. Wait until the market begins to run out of strength or shakes the crowd out. A washout is the final violent sweep, like a sharp breath before price reverses. Exhaustion is when price keeps moving, but volume has clearly weakened. That is when the market has no strength left. And if you are patient enough to wait for that moment, you will enter just as others begin to doubt their own positions. Step 4. Place the trade like a finishing blow, not to test your luck. This is the biggest difference. Traders enter to try. Assassins enter to end it. They act only when the traces are clear, volume has confirmed, the trap is complete, and market psychology is uncertain. The stop loss is set before entry, not adjusted afterward. They understand that if they are wrong, they exit quickly. If they are right, they let the full script play out. Do not interfere. You do not need to win often. You only need to win at the right moment, when the market has given you enough clues and the crowd still has no idea what is unfolding. That is the system of a financial assassin. Volume is the foundation, traps are the bait, washout signals are the point of entry, and the entry itself is the final killing blow. Each day you open a chart, train yourself to see it through these 4 steps. No need for complexity, no need for sophistication, only discipline, subtlety, and enough patience. A financial assassin never speaks much. The longer you trade, the more you begin to notice something strange. The loudest people in the market are often the ones most easily swallowed by it. The quiet, reserved, and discreet ones are usually the ones who survive the longest. They do not show off winning trades. They do not complain about losing ones. They do not argue online about RSI or Fibonacci. They do not debate which pattern is the correct one. Because they understand that survivors do not need to prove anything. They only need to quietly make money, consistently, steadily, and stay away from the crowd that is screaming about waves they don't truly understand. A financial assassin does not need many indicators nor a screen full of colors. They need only a few tools that are sufficient and a mindset that is sharp enough. They step into the market like someone already familiar with loss. They are not afraid to lose, but they are extremely disciplined in never allowing themselves to lose in a foolish way. They understand that not taking a trade is also a powerful decision, not acting when things are unclear and striking only at the right moment. Trading is not a game of intelligence, but a game for those who are steady, alert, and know when to remain silent. You do not need to become the best. You only need to be the one who makes the fewest mistakes and clear-headed enough to not be dragged along by the noise. The journey of reading charts like an assassin is not about looking impressive, but about lasting longer, understanding deeper, and acting with greater precision. In the end, the journey of reading charts is truly a journey of conquering yourself, overcoming fear, greed, and impatience. And if you can do that, you are no longer an ordinary trader. You become the final survivor in a game filled with blood and traps, a silent, precise, and sharp financial assassin. Closing words. If you find this video valuable, Save it and listen to it again whenever your psychology wavers on your trading journey. We will meet you again in the next part of the series, The Journey to Becoming a Professional Trader. Quiet Trading thanks you for walking alongside me throughout this entire path. In a trading world filled with traps, your presence is what gives every story its meaning.